What's up, YouTube? Team Valhalla here with Michael's deck profile with, what is it?
Blue Eyes Dragons.
Blue Eyes Dragons.
It's not what I ran at the regional. I decided to change it up after the regional because it went too slow.
Ah, okay. Well, let's see what you got.
Alright, so we start off with the obvious 12. Right, 12? Yeah. 12 dragons, 3 of each. Basic staple in any dragon deck. Redox is in here mainly for its Monster Reborn capabilities. And then everything else is just support for the other dragons. And being able to exceed into the Draco Sack.
Nobody needs Redox and Tempest. God.
Alright. And for the build that I'm running 3 Blue Eyes.
Look at that Ghost Rare. Yeah.
Something that a lot of people don't run, the Red Eyes Darkness Metal. It's always helped out whenever I played it, testing and whatnot. Being able to banish one of the tuners, be it a White Stone of Legend that I have no target for anymore or whatever. I summon it, banish it, bring out a Red Eyes, special summon a Blue Eyes from the grave, or even just one of the other dragons. It just makes my plays a lot more consistent.
Okay.
Then I run 3 White Stones for the obvious reason of getting the 3 Blue Eyes into my hand. Because I'll ditch it with like a card of Consonance, and I'll draw 2 cards on top of getting a Blue Eyes. So I'll thin my deck out by 3, which adds to the speed. A Corseska for another target of the card of Consonance, and for Tempest. As well as Dragon Ravine, actually. He's usually the monster that I'll banish if I don't have a White Stone to spare for the red MD. And the final monster in the deck is a Flame Guard. He's the target for a blaster, and with 2000 defense, there's not much without any power-ups that can get over him in the current format, or, other than exceeds and whatnot. So if I have absolutely nothing in my hand that I can't use, I'll just set him, and the next turn go off and make a Scrap Dragon, or if I get really lucky, in the Azure Eyes even. So I don't know, he's just a really good card, I think. And he's also another target for the card's Constants, obviously.
Gotta keep that draw power.
Yep. I currently only have 2 Sacred Swords.
So if you have another one...
I will be running it at 3.
Yeah, so trade us.
Yes.
Nobody wants to trade.
Let us know in the messages or comments that you have one for trade, what you want. We'll try and make it work. But yeah, I'm missing 1, but this will be run at 3. I run 3 cards Consonance for the draw power, and with, I believe it's 5 targets. It's not usually a dead draw unless I draw all 3 and nothing else. So usually I have a target for it in my hand, and I just ditch it, draw 2, and then if I'm lucky, get a Blue Eyes as well. I only run 2 trade-ins, even though I do run 3 Blue Eyes, because I still do want to keep a Blue Eyes in hand for the Red Eyes target if there's nothing in the grave. Also, running it at 3 would clog up my deck a little bit with the draw power. I have more targets for the Consonants than I do with trade-in, so because of that I run more Consonants and trade-ins. And 3 Ravines, which is just a staple in most dragon decks. Being able to ditch any of the dragons to the grave, as well as sending one of my other dragons from my hand to the grave, is always a plus. Even if I have a White Stone in hand, I'll ditch the White Stone, send, a blaster, or even add Corseska to hand, as well as adding a Blue Eyes, so it's always plussing. I very rarely minus on this. The next card, which I haven't seen many people use, is 1 Dragon Shrine, as opposed to a Foolish Burial. The reason why I run Dragon Shrine over Foolish is if I ditch a normal dragon from my deck to the grave, I can send another monster, so I'll usually send a White Stone, and by sending another White Stone, I'll be able to add another Blue Eyes to hand. That way thinning out my deck by 3 cards instead of just the 1 with Foolish. I usually don't minus. Sometimes I'll only be able to get the 1 if it's late game that I draw it. but I usually get it early enough that I manage to get at least 2 in the grave. One Book of Moon for the pesky Evil Swarm players that have the I'm blanking on the name right now. Ophion on the field. I don't know. It's a good bait out for the infestation for them and whatnot. But yeah, 2 MSDs just for back road destruction. Any other like fields or whatever. Vanity's emptinesses also will be able to be gotten rid of, as well as Imperial Iron Walls. I run 2 Phoenix Wing Wind Blasts. The Wind Blasts are good because I'll end up ditching a dragon from my hand, be it a regular elemental dragon or a white stone, to bounce something back to the top of the deck. So if last turn they pot a duality into a Mirror Force and they set that 1 card, I know they either set a Mirror Force or a bluff. But with a Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, I'll be able to bounce it back to the deck and not have to worry about whether or not it's a Mirror Force or not.
I mean, I think what's cool about it too is that you know what they're going to draw into next turn.
That too. You can always bounce back, the Ophion that they have on the field that's, stopping you from going off, and they still have 1 material as well as, I don't know, it's always a good card. And, being able to ditch one of your dragons to the grave is always beneficial because you'll still have access to it. You don't ever minus on it. I run a Solemn Warning just in case I'm not drawing anything really amazing. I'll at least have some way to stall for, a turn at least to stop a big play. If I know they're going to go for game next turn, I can always, stop a monster from hitting the field. Probably buy myself another turn or making them waste resources to get that monster back. 1 Compulse for the obvious returning anything that's attacking at me when I have nothing back to the hand. Again, to buy time if I don't draw anything amazing. For when I'm trying to go for game, I run the Return from Different Dimension. It's a staple in any dragon deck. Until next format, haha. I have my own secret for that.
We'll find out then.
Yep. Return, basically, pay half my life points and bring out any amount of monsters in my remove from play. Never a minus. Even if they're using, if I went against a lot of mirror matches at the regional, and they would always, go into this and be like, alright, I'm going to go for game. And I'd have the response of activating my own and bringing out my own monsters, and they'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I can go for game. And, they'd end their turn, and I'd end up getting most of my dragons back into my hand to reuse instead of them being banished. So in the end, I ended up plussing because of it, even though I lost, half my life points. It's still a plus, regardless of whether or not I'm going for game or just doing it to block someone from going from game.
You just gotta play it well.
Exactly. You gotta know when to play it. Don't play it too early. Bring out the blue eyes. If it's your turn. If not, bring up elemental dragons. And the final card, which I picked up at the regional from someone, is 6 cents. Now,
$50 common.
It wasn't that expensive when I picked it up.
What'd you pay, like $7 for it?
In the long run, yes. After all my, profit and whatnot, it cost me $7. Basically, you announce 2 numbers, 5 or 6. You never call any other number in a dragon deck. And your opponent rolls 1 die. If they roll the number, any of the 2 numbers that you said, you draw that many cards. Otherwise, you mill that many cards, whatever number they rolled. So
either you're gonna draw 5 or 6, or you're gonna mill 1, 2, 3, or 4.
You never minus on this.
Yeah,
ever.
It was crazy because while we were at the regional, one of the kids behind me started yelling and screaming. So we all turned around and were like, what? And he goes, I just resolved 6 cents for 6 cards. And everybody was like, holy shit. And he just had, one of the kids asked him, was like, how many cards do you have in here? And he was like, I have 12. I was like, that's dumb.
Yep.
Because it was like his first one, it was probably like his second or third turn. And he didn't really do too much. So he had 6 cards in his hand already, 6 cents, and had 12 cards in hand. And ended up just destroying the kid.
Yep.
Felt bad.
I did hear one kid.
It brings luck back to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. I did hear one kid say that, he can never resolve Sixth Sense properly. And he was playing dragons, and I couldn't wrap my mind around why he couldn't get it to work. You can't minus on a Sixth Sense with dragons. Like, even if they roll a 1, that's one more card that you have access to in your grave.
Unless you mill 6 spell cards.
Yes. That is the only way that you can probably minus, is if you only mill spells. But still, you milling those spells means you're not drawing them next turn. That would be dead draws.
I guess
So in the end, you're getting rid of your dead draws for the turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my main deck. With the addition of the final sword, it will be 42 cards. I know it's not the conventional 41 that everyone tries to reach, or 40. But with the amount of draw power I have, 42 shouldn't be a problem.
Alright, let's see that extra deck.
Alright, for the extra deck, I run 2 Azurai Silver Dragon.
Okay.
A lot of people only run this at 1. I like it at 2. Because there's so many chances where I'll have a Blue Eyes and a Tuner, and I'll be like, I could go for a third one. Or, I could go for a second one if I hadn't already destroyed one. Its ability is when it's summoned, when it's synchro summoned, it protects all dragons that are on the field at that time. So, you bring out your red MD, you summon out the Blue Eyes, you normal summon a Tuner, to bring out the Azure Eyes. You now have the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon protected until your next turn. And usually by that turn, you'll be able to get another Azure Eyes. Because he brings back a normal monster, so you'll bring back the Blue Eyes. And Red MD will bring out the Tuner and just synchro again.
And then you have Dyson Sphere.
I don't have Dyson Sphere in this deck.
Dyson Sphere. Best level.
I thought about it, but no. I do run 2 Crimson Bladers. In the original Dragon deck that I first ran, I only ran 1. But there's a lot of times where the first one would get destroyed, and I'd be wanting a second one, and I just didn't have it. So, I ended up choosing to run 2 instead, and it works a lot better. If I'm not going for the Azure Eyes plays, I'll be able to stop any big plays that they want to do. Against mirror matches, they can't do anything. I do run 2 Scrap Dragons. Scrap Dragon is a great combo with the Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack, which, when he has tokens on the field, you can target him and a monster, and he'll stay on the field, and the monster that you target, or whatever you target, will be destroyed. So, having 2 Scrap Dragons in the deck is really good to be able to go into it more than once. If, they bottomless the first one, you can always have the chance to go into a second one. 1 Stardust to protect my monsters when they're, going for game. So, if they mirror force, Stardust, my attacks are still going to go through. But yeah, Stardust is Stardust. I run 1 Colossal Fighter. I know a lot of Dragon players run it now. It's just really good. It makes...
Maxi Challenge.
Yeah. I attack, if he destroys it by a monster attack or whatever, he can butt heads with anything, like another Colossal Fighter. Well, at that point.
Yeah, at that point they both come back.
Yeah.
And they just be smashing heads all game.
If you're fighting, a Blaster or something, Blaster would die, he would come back, and be able to attack again. So many times against Bujin players, I'll be playing, and they'll be like, Crane. And I'll be like, whatever, attack through, it dies, comes back. The Crane effect is now gone, so I'll attack again.
Also, too, you can get rid of everybody else's Crimson Bladers. Like, if you had it on the field, smashing a Crimson Blader, it'll still come back. So, a lot of people don't know that.
It makes Crimson Blader have to work for his job.
I mean, if Colossal Fighter kills him, then not really.
Nah. I run 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon for the ability to replace either my field or even get rid of the Prophecy field. It's just an extra 1,000 life points, and if I pop their field and get my own field, I'm just going to start plussing from there. Or even, I've used my field's ability, so I use his effect, pop my field, add another one, activate it again, use its effect again. So it gives me more options with the field.
Okay.
I run 2 Black Rose. The first one, I run 1 for mainly the popping ability and blowing up the field, And, if I'm already winning, I'll just be able to, spam out either 1 or 2 and be able to make either Draco Sack or, anything else like that. So it's always, it's an easy, like, bomb the field, let's restart it because I've fallen behind or something like that, or they have a something else on the field that's...
Well, what's your best way of making Black Rose in this deck?
Currently, it would be the Draco Sack tokens and any of the other tuners in the deck.
Okay.
So
you're just kind of heavily relying on the Draco Sack then?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I won't be going into the rank, level 7s that often, but, if worse comes to worse, I can, bomb the field and restart it. I do lose the Draco Sack because I have to use his tokens unless I already have 3 on the field. But, sometimes you have to make, sacrifices like that in order to win. Now, for the Exceeds, I run 1 Draco Sack. I would run it at 2 if I had to, but I currently only have 1.
So if you have a Draco Sack, we want it. $1.
What's taking the place of the other Draco Sack is the Master of Blades. I never really went into him at the regional with my other dragon deck, but he has his own ups and downs. He can't be targeted as long as he has materials because he'll attach 1 and negate it, and you end up losing another card on top of it. So a lot of people won't target it in fear of losing back row or even losing monsters. So he has his own, ups and downs, but a Draco Sack would be a lot better. I do run 1 Big Eye, obviously. Big Eye is Big Eye. There's really no need to explain. Just take your monster, swing with it, and, you lose to your own monster. And a rank 8 for in case I have 2 Blue Eyes and I need to get another Blue Eyes in the grave. I make the Hieratic Sun Overlord, tribute dragons from my hand, which will still come back out next turn or even that turn, and just destroy your back row or even your monsters. So it's not really a minus on my part because I'll have a Blue Eyes to target again next turn with, like, User Eyes or whatever, and I still will have the ability to summon anything I ditch for it.
So that's for the extra decks, and now we're going on the side deck, right?
Yep, the side deck. I run 2 Fencing Fire Ferrets. It won me a match once.
Really?
At the regional. I was facing, I believe, X-Sabers, or it was the, it was some deck that I was facing. It wasn't one of the metas, obviously. And, they had 500 life points left, and I drew into this, and I'm like, alright, I'll set it. Maybe they'll attack into it, maybe they'll think it's one of my tuners. And, I thought right. They did attack into it, and it died. I targeted their monster that attacked it, destroyed it, and I ended up winning because they ended up losing the last of their life points, which won me the best of 3 for that. So, it's also another fire target for Blaster. So, if you're trying to blow up one of their back rows, and you can't draw mere MSTs, but you have him in a Blaster, you can always ditch him in a Blaster, and Blaster will pop whatever it is.
Sounds like fun.
I run 2 DD Crows.
DD Crow! DD Crow.
It's just really useful in the matches where people are targeting things in their grave a lot. Fire Fists in particular, Evil Swarms even. They'll target a monster in their grave, they'll banish something or whatever, and you'll just, DD Crow that monster they targeted, and they can't get it on the field because it's no longer there.
Okay.
You can also, like, if they're trying to activate, in a mirror match, a Blaster from grave, and they banish their 2, you can send DD Crow and be like, I target the Blaster you're summoning and banish it. So, they end up losing their Blaster, and they can't activate the Blaster from the remove from play because they already attempted before. So, they ended up losing in that sense. Next, 2 XYZ Encores to get over the Ophions.
That's pretty much what they're good for.
Yep, that's basically all they're used for.
I like how my stroke's on the front.
Yep. Any monster that likes to stall or whatever, stops me from being able to attack, that's an Exceed. I just XYZ Encore it out and be like, I swing over your monsters that are now, weaker. Also, for mirror matches and any other match that can, spam special summons like Black Wings, I run a Vanity's Emptiness. Basically, I set up my board so that I can, swing over anything, and then I'll set the Vanity's Emptiness and on your turn, activate it when you try to go off, and, they just get stopped, and they have to get rid of it by destroying more, or like using up resources of their own. So, it's always a good thing. And, if I'm going for game, I can always MST my own Vanity's Emptiness. And, get rid of it and be able to attack and, go off. So, in the end, it doesn't hurt me as much. 2 Wabakus. I run Wabakus in order to, if I'm setting up for the next turn, I have a monster on the field. And it's a weak monster. They go into attack, and I know they can destroy like one of my tuners or whatever, and I need them on the field. I Wabaku, and they don't get destroyed through Wabaku because all damage is 0. So in the end, I protect my monster regardless. So it's always good to have the ability to keep your tuners on the field. So I'd side it in against anything that can aggro faster than I can. So if they can spam the field faster than I would be able to, Wabakus are being sided in order to protect my monsters for 1 turn, and then go off on my turn. It's usually against mirror matches, or Dragoonity matches. I run 1 EEV. It's just a staple against...
Anything. I mean, you can use it against...
you can use it against Fire Fist. If spellbooks get hurt by it the most, you activate it, you tribute one of your darks, Big Eye, after it has no more, units. Target Big Eye, tribute Big Eye, call spells against spellbooks, and, they have 3 turns where they can't do anything, literally.
Yeah.
So, it's always a win in the end. I run 1 Royal Decree. I'm thinking about switching it out for a Trap Stun, but currently Royal Decree is there. It stops the opponent's traps if if I need it to stop it if I need to stop them for some reason.
Yeah.
It's there for that option. 2 Mirror Forces.
Okay, and then what are the last 2?
2 Skill Drains.
Okay.
I don't run Skill Drain main board because I do need the Azure Eyes' effects when they do get summoned. But if for some reason I'm running something that's heavy skill, ability based or whatever, and I can get through it without Azure Eyes, I'll always Skill Drain.
Okay.
And dragons don't get hurt by it because they stay on the field then. So in the end, it doesn't hurt me as much as it would hurt them if they were dependent on it.
All right.
But yeah.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is our teammate Michael's deck profile on Blue Eyes Dragons. Like, comment, subscribe, guys.